Good afternoon and glad to have you join us in News on the Hour on Plus TV Africa. I'm David Alabi and here are stories making the headlines. An FCT High Court has restrained President of the Senate Bukola Saraki from declaring the seat of former Minority Leader of the Senate Godswill Akpabio vacant. Justice Uthman Musa ordered on Wednesday the President of the Senate not to impede Senator Akpabio's access to the Senate building or taking any action aimed at overreaching his privileges and rights as a senator, pending the determination of the originating summons of the applicant. Justice Musa ordered service of the court papers through the clerk of the National Assembly or the Senate. The suit has been adjourned to August 29 for further hearing. The National Assembly members of the People's Democratic Party are keeping vigil at the premises of the Assembly complex to forestall any impeachment process against the Senate President Bukola Saraki. This was disclosed on Wednesday in Lafia, the Nasarawa state capital, by the senator representing Nasarawa North Senatorial Zone, Philip Gunka, when he presented his letter of intent to contest the governorship seat of the party of the state to the officials of the state PDP. In his response, the state PDP chairman Francis Orogu said the state chapter of the party was proud of its representatives at the National Assembly, consequently encouraged them to maintain the tempo of their loyalty to the PDP. Governor Aminu Tambuwal of Sokoto State has affirmed that it is true that President Muhammadu Buhari has health challenges and also accused a cabal of running his government. Governor Tambuwal also declared that he had been under tremendous pressure to join the 2019 presidential race. Addressing thousands of youths and students who stormed the governor's office in appreciation of his involving the youth in his administration, Mr. Tambuwal said, quote, "We supported Muhammadu Buhari in 2015 to become president unconditionally, and we admit that President Buhari has integrity, but that's not the only requirement for leadership. We are aware that the president is affected by serious challenges of health and is being held captive by a cabal that runs Nigeria for their personal interests." Meanwhile, the People's Democratic Party has demanded the immediate release of Premium Times newspaper reporter Samuel Ogundikpe, who was arrested and detained by the police over a report. The party noted that the continued detention of the journalist was against his fundamental human right to freedom as enshrined in the 1999 Constitution as amended. And it stated in a quote, "PDP insisted that President Muhammadu Buhari's administration was only reminiscent of Military Decree 4 of 1984, and of quote, that empowers dictatorial regime to arrest and detain journalists over reports considered to be against its interest." In a statement issued by its spokesperson, Kola Ologbondiyan, the party also commended the alleged denial of personal freedom and manhandling of the newspaper's editor-in-chief, Musikilu Mojid, and its education correspondent, Azizat Adedigba, by the police. Amnesty International has demanded the release of the Premium Times reporter as well, Samuel Ogundikpe, who was arrested by police on Tuesday. The International Human Rights Group made the call on Wednesday in a statement by its director, Osai Ojigo. According to Premium Times, Mr. Ogundikpe was arrested and detained by the police through the Special Anti-Robbery Squad and has been held for about 48 hours without trial. The group described Mr. Ogundikpe's continued detention as unlawful and the reported reason for his arrest extremely disturbing. It said, quote, "The Nigerian police must immediately and unconditionally release journalist Samuel Ogundikpe, who has been in unlawful police detention since Tuesday." Reports that police detained Samuel Ogundikpe with the intention of forcing him to reveal his sources are extremely disturbing and illustrate the level of harassment and intimidation that the Nigerian journalists face. Mr. Ogundikpe has been in detention for over 2 days following his arrest by police personnel over an article he authored and was published by the Premium Times newspaper, disclosing findings of an investigation carried out by the police on the siege of the National Assembly in Abuja by masked operatives of the Department of State Services, DSS. The Nigerian Union of Journalists and several lawyers have condemned his arrest. Plus TV is definitely going to keep you updated with other developments with this story. The Commissioner of Police in Lagos State, Imohimi Edgar, on Wednesday said 8 officers were dismissed over very serious criminal offences, while 6 others were demoted in ranks. He also said that 108 officers were disciplined for various offences from January to July 2018 in Lagos State Command. These were disclosed at a stakeholders forum on police accountability and presentation of advocacy materials at the command's headquarters, Ikeja. The Commissioner of Police also called on people in Lagos to continue to assist the police with information and other assistance, stressing that 28,000 officers and men in Lagos were not adequate to the police. According to him, community policing in the state is working as it had reduced crimes by 35%. Now, Nigeria's federal government has been tasked to use its Government Enterprise and Empowerment Program, GEEP, to boost manufacturing of made-in-Nigeria goods. The scheme, which is expected to provide microcredit loans to about 2 million Nigerians, was recently launched in Lagos, and it's expected to curb rising poverty rates. About 30,000 Nigerian traders will be benefiting from each of the nation's 36 states of the Federation and the Federal Capital Territory. Our correspondent, Amadinu reports.
Data from the Brookings Institute, compilers of the World Poverty Clock, says Nigeria has officially overtaken India with a country of the highest number of people living in abject poverty. The figure saw those living in poverty rise to about 87 million persons between 2016 and 2018, with expected increase in the next 4 years. In a bid to stem these ugly developments, Nigeria's federal government launched the Government Enterprise and Empowerment Program, GEEP, aimed at making microcredit to the tune of a minimum of 10,000 naira only, available to poor Nigerians engaged in trading. This has continued to receive rave reviews.
This is a very laudable effort. You know, we've seen people in Kebbi, in Adamawa, in Nasarawa, in Benue, where we've put them in groups, saving and borrowing among themselves, and where people have borrowed 2,000 naira and they've now turned their livelihoods all together. They're able to, they are telling us stories about having businesses to send their schools, incomes to increase to send their kids to school, have 3 square meals, have more assets, you know, increase their farm size. So for us, this is a very laudable effort.
The poor, when they are empowered through loan schemes such as 10,000, 30,000, as the case applied, they are capable of generating wealth that will push them out of poverty.
A statement from the Office of the Vice President says the scheme would target about 2 million petty traders before the end of the year, reaching about 30,000 traders in each of Nigeria's 36 states. The scheme has been launched in Lagos and moves to Kano and Abia states.
Somebody that cannot afford 3 square meals and you give him 5,000 naira, that is a whole lot.
Poor people don't need charity, you know, they need support. Because the rich, they make their money not through any miracle, it's because they have the support of the state.
However, there are some who think the federal government needs to partner with non-governmental organizations and organize labor to ensure the scheme is a success.
Government needs to also make an obvious effort, you know, conscious effort to work with organizations, you know, that go and meet these people, that have already the trust of these people, so that the right people that are supposed to actually benefit from this are benefiting.
They also want the government to use the scheme to boost local manufacturing and made in Nigeria goods.
Beyond the fact that you get more support or more loan after paying the other one, we should also ensure that the money given to them is used to reinflate the Nigerian economy, and we should make sure they trade in Nigerian goods, made in Nigerian goods.
The GEEP scheme sees the federal government partner with the Bank of Industry through an initiative called Trader Money. Beneficiaries who are successful in paying the initial loan of 10,000 naira will be given access to a higher facility ranging from 15,000 naira to 50,000 naira. Amadin Uyi, Plus TV Africa.
We'll take a quick break now. When we return, the rest of the news continues. Don't go anywhere. If you're just joining us, you're watching news on the hour on Plus TV Africa. Now, Mali's President Ibrahim Boubacar Keïta has won a re-election bid, and Sunday's heavily disputed runoff election results show. Official results from the Ministry of Territorial Administration shows Keïta won with 67.17% of the vote. Opposition candidate Soumaïla Cisse, who got 32.83% of the vote, has said on Monday that he would reject the result as he believed the vote was marred by fraud. The victory gives Keïta a second term in the mostly desert West African country, where militant violence and claims of fraud by the opposition marred the polls. And to Zimbabwe, where the president, Emmerson Mnangagwa, has filed submissions in the land's highest court, opposing a court challenge to his victory by the main opposition leader, Nelson Chamisa. One of his lawyers said on Wednesday, the first election since Robert Mugabe was forced to resign after a coup in November had been expected to end Zimbabwe's pariah status and launch an economic recovery. But post-election unrest has brought back uncomfortable reminders of its violent past. Mr. Mnangagwa has urged Zimbabwe to unite behind him, but questions remain over the death of 6 people in an army crackdown on protest against the ruling party's victory. Mr. Chamisa has said the vote was rigged and has challenged the result by the Zimbabwe Electoral Commission, which gave Mr. Mnangagwa 2.46 million votes against 2.15 million votes for the 40-year-old Movement for Democratic Change leader. Meanwhile, President Emmerson Mnangagwa says Zimbabwe is ready to move forward with its economic revival agenda despite the imposition of new sanctions on Harare by the United States government last week. U.S. President Donald Trump signed into law the Zimbabwe Democracy and Economic Recovery Amendment Act, effectively extending U.S. sanctions against Zimbabwe. The new law, which amends the Zadira legislation of 2001, is a dent on Zimbabwe's re-engagement effort with the U.S. However, President Mnangagwa said here Wednesday he was not losing sleep over the latest stance by the U.S. Quote, "Should I concern myself with what is happening in Washington?" he replied dismissively when asked for his reaction to the latest U.S. sanction. He was speaking to the media at the end of a call on him by U.S. Ambassador to Zimbabwe, Brian Nichols, at State House, Harare. When we return, we'll bring you more stories from the foreign scene. Don't go anywhere. And on the foreign scene, U.S. President Donald Trump says his frustrations with investigation into alleged Russian election meddling forced him to revoke the security clearance of ex-CIA chief John Brennan. Quote, "It is a sham," he told the Wall Street Journal. Revoking Mr. Brennan's clearance had to be done. The White House had earlier said Mr. Brennan's access was revoked because of erratic conduct. The vocal critic of the president can no longer access sensitive information. In response, Mr. Brennan said the move was part of President Trump's broader effort to suppress freedom of speech and punish critics. Now, migrant children sent back to their home countries from the U.S. and Mexico often face a far more worse situation than that which they originally left while they tried to escape, UNICEF said in a report published on Thursday. The idea that migrant children can simply be reintegrated into the communities is more complicated. It used the example of parents, often from Honduras, Guatemala, or El Salvador, who pay around $15,000 to smuggle an unaccompanied child to the U.S. Adults are also stigmatized by the communities and refused employment, the report said, for having failed in their attempts to reach and stay in the U.S. Gunmen attacked an area around a security base and training center for Afghanistan's intelligence service on Thursday in the capital, Kabul, officials have said. Staff and officials at the center took shelter in a protected area of the compound as gunfire came from a half-finished building near the site. Kabul police spokesman Hashmat Stanekskyi said the attackers were firing rocket-propelled grenades and other weapons, but it was unclear how many gunmen were involved. The area around the site was closed off, but media reported that gunfire and at least one explosion could be heard. There was no initial word on any casualties or claim of responsibility. The latest incident comes at a time of high tension following a series of attacks, including a full-scale assault on the city of Ghazni last week. A Malaysian court has ruled that evidence against two women accused of murdering the half-brother of North Korea's leader is strong enough for the case to go to trial. Kim Jong-nam died at Kuala Lumpur airport last year after the toxic VX nerve agent was rubbed on his face. Siti Aisyah and Duan Thi Wang pleaded not guilty. They say they thought they were taking part in a TV prank show. They could face the death penalty if convicted of murder. Defense lawyers had earlier been confident that the case against their clients would be dropped, saying it was clear that they had no motive to kill Mr. Kim. But a judge on Thursday ruled that the actions of the two women, which were captured on security camera footage, were enough to infer that they had intended to kill him.
Though we are disappointed with the judgment, but that is the judgment that we are going to abide and follow. Unfortunately, we are not able to appeal on this judgment or this ruling at this stage, because this ruling is what we call not a final ruling or an interim judgment, which cannot be appealed. So we will see what happens when defense is called, and at the end of the defense, of course, if they are convicted again, if they are convicted, then we can appeal that the judge was wrong in calling for the defense.
It's now time to cross over to Edidiong, who brings us updates from the world of business.
This is Business News, and I'm Edidiong Iwang. Well, the Director General of the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, Dr. Dakuku Peterside, says the federal government will commence the disbursement of the Cabotage Vessel Financing Fund in 2019. In a chat with journalists in Lagos State, Dr. Peterside said the fund, which has increased to $124 million and is domiciled at the Central Bank of Nigeria, will be disbursed as soon as the Ministry of Transportation concludes the review of the guidelines for disbursement. Also, he said NIMASA has taken delivery of the 50 billion naira modular floating dockyard, considered to be the 5th largest on the African continent, and will save the Nigerian government $100 million annually. While the Central Bank of Nigeria says it is not possible for any importer to bring in substandard products into the country under the currency swap agreement recently signed with the People's Bank of China. The Apex Bank says adequate measures have been put in place with all the regulatory agencies to check abuse of the terms of contracts reached under the currency swap deal. The CBN Governor, Mr. Godwin Emefiele, said this in Abuja at a currency swap forum for importers in the North Central Zone, where he stressed that the deal does not cover the importation of substandard goods into the country. Oil prices have today risen, with hopes arising from Beijing's disclosure of its intention to resolve trade disputes with the United States. Now, Brent crude oil futures was up by 35 cents, trading at $71.11 per barrel, and this was a 0.5% rise from its last close. U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude futures rose by 15 cents, which was a 0.2 rise from its last close, to trade at $65.17 a barrel. Both benchmarks lost more than 2% during the previous day's trading. According to traders, Thursday's markets were pushed up by news that a Chinese delegation led by the Vice Minister of Commerce, Wang Shouwen, will hold talks with the U.S. representatives later in August. Well, that's it on Business News, but still to come is our roundup on entertainment and sports. Don't go away.
And in entertainment, Ghanaian king of dancehall Shatta Wale visited the deputy ambassador of the Embassy of Italy in Ghana. His Excellency Lorenzo Pinel, the 33-year-old, has been getting involved with important stakeholders for the sole purpose of his youth empowerment initiative, and this is the reason he went to discuss possible areas of partnership with the embassy. Shatta Wale further discussed issues affecting both countries and establishing programs that would help improve and strengthen the Ghanaian creative arts industry. Shatta Wale created his empowerment program to make the youth self-sufficient. Mr. Pinelli also agreed that the embassy would collaborate with Shatta Wale on projects that would benefit both parties. Travis Scott has been handing out a random amount of money to the sum of $100,000 to fans on Twitter to celebrate the release of his chart-topping album, Astroworld. The 26-year-old rapper, who has a six-month-old daughter, Stormy Webster, with his girlfriend, Kylie Jenner, gifted some of his 3.92 million Twitter followers with random sums of money simply for tweeting their favorite lyrics from the record and sharing their hashtag. The Sicko Mode hitmaker said he decided to splash the cash on his fandom because he knows it's hard for the kids. Several of his followers have taken to the microblogging site to share the various amounts they received, ranging from anywhere between $50 to $1,000 within 5 hours of announcing the cash giveaway. Travis has spent $25,000 of his limit. Eminem pop star, performer, manager and author Madonna rejoices as she turns 60 today. The superstar singer has performed on 10 concert tours and flogged over 300 million records, thereby making her the best-selling female recording artist of all time, according to the Guinness World Records. In addition to sparking controversy, her works have been praised by music critics and is often cited as an influence by other artists. And that's it on entertainment, the very best in sports, right after this.
Hello and welcome to Sports Update on Plus TV Africa. I'm Moronfo Lukufeji. Two-time Grand Slam winner and defending champion Gabriela Muguruza suffered a surprise 2-6, 6-4, 6-4 defeat to Lesia Turenko of Ukraine in Cincinnati. It was the Spaniard's first match since her defeat in Wimbledon second round, where she was also defending her title. In other results, 2017 US Open champion Sloane Stephens set up a third-round meeting with Elise Mertens by beating Germany's Tatiana Maria 6-3, 6-2. And Wimbledon champion Angelique Kerber claimed her fourth-year win of the season after recovering from a set-down to overcome Russia's Anastasia Pavlyuchenkova 4-6, 7-5, 6-4. And in the men's event, Wimbledon champion Novak Djokovic struggled with a stomach issue as he came from a set-down to beat Adrian Manarino 4-6, 6-2, 6-1 to reach the third round in Cincinnati. The 13-time Grand Slam winner will now play Bulgarian Grigor Dimitrov in the next round. An injury update: Manchester City have confirmed that midfielder Kevin De Bruyne has injured his right knee in training, and sources close to the player have said that he could be out for between 2 to 4 months. According to sources, the injury is believed to be a twisted knee and was sustained during a training session on Wednesday morning. The 27-year-old is currently undergoing tests to discover the full extent of the injury, according to a statement released by City. The Belgian international returned to Manchester City last week after being allowed extended time away from the squad following his involvement at the World Cup with Belgium. De Bruyne is now a doubt for Sunday's home game against Huddersfield and also at risk of missing upcoming games. He was City's player of the season last term, scoring 12 goals and providing 21 assists as his side won the Premier League and the EFL Cup. That's it on the Sports Update. I'm Moronfo Lukufeji.
That's it on our news roundup of events at this hour. Many thanks for watching. For more news, updates and broadcasts, please follow us at Plus TV Africa on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. And do remember to subscribe to our YouTube page at Plus TV Africa. We'll be back later with more news stories making the headlines across Africa and the rest of the world. To join us again, I'm David Alabi. Good afternoon.